Hello everyone, a Dvar Torah for you to take with you the Shabbos. The Torah tells us that there were two sets of tablets, of luchos, that Moshe Rabbeinu got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai, he receives the first set of luchos, which were formed and written on by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He then goes down the mountain, sees the Jewish people sitting with the golden calf, and breaks those tablets. Those tablets were placed in a box made by Moshe Rabbeinu, which is called the Aron of the Shivrei Haluchos, the box that contained the broken tablets. Then Moshe Rabbeinu goes back up to Har Sinai. He receives the second tablets from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This time Moshe Rabbeinu made the tablets, and Hashem was the one who wrote the words. And he places those in a box that Bezalel, the main constructor of the Mishkan, fashioned for them. So the second luchos, the whole tablets, remained in the center of the Jewish people. Jewish people camped all around it, and the broken tablets had very important functions, which is interesting because if we had a Sefer Torah, for example, a Torah scroll, and it got worn out, got torn, it was no longer functional, it was quote-unquote broken, so we would treat it with utmost respect, we would bury it in a very fine place, but it would no longer be functional, have no use anymore. But the broken luchos, the broken tablets, had a very important function. Two, actually. One of them was that this Aron, this box containing the broken luchos, would travel ahead of the Jewish people and would make the road easier for them. It would kill scorpions and snakes. It would even out high mountains and also raise valleys, so that there's basically like taking a walk in Texas, just straight, with nothing in your way. That was one function. Function number two is that when the Jewish people went to war, they would take this Aron, the one with the broken tablets, together with them to battle. Now, why is it? What's the meaning of that? That even though these tablets are broken, they're still very much important and functional. So I think the message is like this: that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when Hashem created the world, He created it with a point A, which was absolute potential, and He created it with a goal in mind, a point B, which is where the Torah reaches, where the world actualizes the potential and reaches a state of absolute perfection, close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where mankind realizes and recognizes HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the plan, point A to point B. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, He created the world with this point B in mind, the end goal in mind, and that is what the first set of luchos represents. Absolute closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What was given from Hashem to Moshe were tablets that were made by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the writing was written by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, absolute closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what the first set of tablets represent. Those were broken because the straight path from A to B, with the sin of the golden calf, was broken. We veered to the right, we veered to the left. We can no longer go straight from A to B. But even though we can't go straight from A to B, we're still going to get to B eventually. It might take us a little bit longer. It might be a little bit more of a challenging route, but B, the perfection of the world, the goal of the world, still there, and we're still headed in that direction, and it calls us. And it aids us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is pulling us towards it as much as He can. And that's the message of the Shivrei Haluchos, the broken luchos, the first set of luchos, going ahead of us and paving the way. Because that's where we're headed. Even though right now we might be limited to just an existence of the second luchos, which is much less godly, we're not yet there, but the state of the first luchos, of the world reaching its final perfection, goes ahead of us. It calls us. It paves the way for us. And if we ever are faced with challenges such as war, it's there with us in the trenches to help us to get to the state of perfection of the world and absolute closeness to Hashem. Have a great Shabbos.